Afternoon, guys. How you doing? Excellent, excellent. So you heard, my name is Tawanda Ewing. There I go. And just something to know about me, 3 points. I love science, so hence why I'm here, makes sense. I enjoy teaching, which is why I'm talking to you today, right? And I'm a Pan-African. That means I believe that Africa and Africans should be working together to make the most of our continent. And I think machine learning is a very important part of that. Above machine learning, we have something called artificial intelligence. And I think for you to understand what I do on a day-to-day, you're going to have to understand what artificial intelligence is. So, put quite simply, artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence by machines. Do we all know what machines are? Right? We interact with machines on a day-to-day basis. Some machines are more intelligent than others, right? I would argue and say something like a hammer is a machine, right? Because it's doing something that your body can't do, whether that's nailing down some nails or actually taking the nails out of the wood. You get it, right? So artificial intelligence is simulating human intelligence by machines. So I like to put it quite simply and say that when you're an engineer, you work with tools, right? You have electrical engineers, chemical engineers, mechanical engineers. They all need to interact with some sort of tool. And what we've done with intelligence is that we've actually turned it into a tool. Much like the tools you see right here, right? Your spanners, your hammers, your saws. That's what artificial intelligence is. We've taken something that's intrinsic in us, right? Something that we take for granted, our ability to look at a face and to know who I'm talking to. The ability to actually talk and you understand what I'm saying right now. That's incredible. You might take it for granted, but what we've done, we've taken that from us and we've put it into our tools. And now our tools are capable of doing the same things that we're capable of doing. They're intelligent. So to give you an example of how machine learning works, imagine if you had a hammer, and I'm going to call this a magic hammer, and the trick with this hammer is that if I had some nails and I had to hammer those nails in, I just had to hammer, let's say, 10 nails in, and then I left that hammer and then carried on doing the work. Imagine that, right? That's what intelligence is. That's what we've done with some of our tools. We just show them examples with our data, and then they go on to do the work for us, and we just sit back and reap the benefits. How incredible is that? Does that sound like a good idea, right? Imagine doing your homework. If you had a book, you just write in it, and then you let it do the rest of your homework. Wouldn't that be incredible, right? So that's what intelligence is. We're making our tools more intelligent. So with that in mind, in my day-to-day, when I put on my hat as a machine learning engineer, I ask myself, okay, there's a problem in front of me. What tools am I going to use? So I have a toolbox. It's not a physical toolbox, but it sits on my computer and I can figure out what tool am I going to use today to solve the problem that's in front of me. I'm just going to go through some of these tools, and one of the main tools that I use on a day-to-day is natural language processing. So that's the ability of making applications actually analyze and understand our language so that they can get the way I'm talking to you right now. Our computers can actually understand us and communicate back to us in a way that we can understand. Because underneath that, computers are speaking in ones and zeros, not very easy to read. But if they're speaking in plain English or whatever language you can understand, you can imagine how much easier it is to actually interact with them and you so automate those tasks and make it a lot easier to deal with. Another tool in the toolbox is computer vision. So computer vision comes in handy for driverless cars, giving robots the ability to actually move around and interact in our world. You name it, right? We use computer vision to, again, process this visual information. We're trying to replicate what our eyes and our brains can do and help computers, machines, do the exact same thing, except sometimes actually better than we can do it. And then one of the last tools that I use quite frequently these days is generative AI. That's your ChatGPT, your Mid-Journey, your Stable Diffusion, right? It's this ability to make machines generate content, whether that's text, images, video, and they do it in such a way that is incredible, right? It actually feels human in some instances. There's been plenty of interactions that have been going on these days where you might not even be aware that you're talking to a machine. But that's just how far we've come, and best believe there are going to be so many more tools coming into the space, and you guys are going to be part of actually creating those tools, and more importantly, actually using the tools to solve the problems that we face on the continent and beyond. So what do you need and how do you work when it comes to artificial intelligence, right? I call it the dream team, right? Why is it the dream team? Because sometimes I just feel like working with artificial intelligence is the stuff of dreams, right? This was impossible not so long ago. The idea that we could take what is us, our intelligence, and put it into objects that are around us so that they are also intelligent. And to be part of this dream team, there are three main categories. These are obviously high level, and they break down a little bit more in between. These are three random people. I don't know the guy in the middle. So with these three different fields or three different categories, you get the data dream team, right? You start with your data scientist on the far, what's this? This is my right over there, right? So a data scientist creates AI models using scientific knowledge. So think of them as the people that make the tools, right? And then you have machine learning engineers like myself. We actually build AI-powered systems and applications that solve specific problems. So we use these tools, all right? And then you have your data engineers, which actually develop the pipelines that extract, load, and transform the information that are used to make AI tools, okay? So think about yourself, think about what you like, what you enjoy, and maybe you fit into one of these categories. So what do you actually need to do to become a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, or a data engineer? At a high level, when it comes to data scientists, you might be interested in doing a math degree, something science related, so biology, chemistry, and sometimes even economics. The things about a data scientist is that it's not too specific to a degree. You actually need to just have the domain knowledge, and then you apply the ability of artificial intelligence to that field. So data scientists could technically be anything, but you need to be good at what I'm calling a PL, a programming language, and you need to have like Python, R, Go, and your specialization might be something like data visualization. So as a data scientist, you take your scientific knowledge and you enable people around you to be able to visualize and understand problems in their world using data visualization. A machine learning engineer, like for myself, I have a background in engineering. I studied electrical and electronic engineering at Stellenbosch, and then I pivoted into machine learning engineering. And my main programming language is Python, but you can also use Java, for example, and my specialty is back-end development. So I'm very closely linked to software developers, or software engineering, where we know how to build applications from start to finish, and then I just add a little bit of sprinkle of AI here and there to make the magic happen. That's how I work. And then you have your data engineer, who in some cases doesn't even necessarily use artificial intelligence, but they're very, very adept at understanding different data sources, how to bring those data sources together in a useful way, and then empower these AI-powered applications or services that basically run our lives, and they're going to continue to do so the further we go into the future. And a disclaimer is that all of this, at least in today's age, happens on the cloud. So that's why I'm a Google Cloud professional. It's very important to understand how to run, use, operate these kinds of applications within the cloud, because it's just giving us access. Where starting an application a couple years ago would have been so difficult because you have to worry about the infrastructure and setting that up. These days, you just log on to Google Cloud Platform, spin up some resources, and there you go, you're up and running. That's very incredible, very powerful. Don't take it for granted. Make sure you take advantage of it. And in closing, I just want to leave this statement with you, and just this idea that Africa is a blank canvas, and we're the artists. So a lot of people, when they look at the African continent, they see problems. And you shouldn't just always frame it as problems, but rather opportunities for solutions. We have, I think, an unbelievable position to be able to take the technologies that are around the world and not only be at the level that we see around the globe, but actually leapfrog and advance and pass through a lot of the issues that a lot of people face using technology that's out there. Because we have a blank canvas. The lack of infrastructure is not a problem, it's an opportunity for solutions that are going to take us far into the future and further than maybe most civilizations have gone to in a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tawanda. Now, I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
I think you are a machine learning engineer, so you're the person that we need to pick bones with when it comes to all of these machines that are getting smart and that are actually learning from themselves, learning from their mistakes, right?
100%.
I think I would like to get your personal opinion and insight into where you think Africa is going to go with the work and the technologies that you start implementing. I mean, I was watching, there's a new series on Disney called Kizazi Moto, which is an Africa reimagined. And I think it really opened up my mind to the possibilities of how tech can and come into our lives as Africans. What does that future look like for you?
Okay, that's a great question. The way that future looks for me is, I think I can put it in an example. Thinking of artificial intelligence as tools, you can imagine what we were able to accomplish maybe in Western civilizations when the steam engine came in and what they were able to do with that kind of technology. We have sort of that kind of position where those Western civilizations were in that time, except that we have steam engines, plus artificial intelligence, plus cloud computing, plus the manpower to actually implement it. So really, if I put it this way, the endless possibilities are genuinely up to us. We can push this as far as possible, because no one has actually seen how far this can go. So I say dream big and take it to new heights. Unseen things, they're all going to be possible, and I think they're going to be happening on the African continent.
And of course, you're dealing with a lot of problem solving, right? And I guess the question, especially when it comes to Africa and technology, is, well, how on earth are we going to catch up to everyone else when we have basic issues and so many insecurities in various areas of our lives? What does that look like for you in terms of our development and how quickly we'll develop? Do you see yourself bridging those gaps that we have, or are they not even gaps that need to be bridged?
Definitely, I think there are gaps that need to be bridged. For myself, I feel like the number one thing we can focus on is education.
Yes.
Hands down, get people as educated as possible, and most of the time, ideas will come and it just emerge from that. You have a population that's educated, they'll see problems, they'll be unhappy with their current situation because they know this better, then that will push them to actually look for solutions and ultimately get us to where we need to be.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You answered it perfectly. Can we please give one final round of